we start the fourth unit titled Braving the Hazards. Braving the Hazards. And also the first segment of the unit, Braving the Hazards, is an essay. And disasters and disaster management in India. So we have been going so many recently and for the last 2 or 3 years, various sorts of natural and man-made disasters. And also at present we are in the disaster. So COVID-19, first wave disaster last year we witnessed, and now we are undergoing second wave COVID-19 disaster. So a pandemic, and especially our Trivandrum and other 3 districts are going triple lockdown. So in this moment or in this situation, we are going to analyze the fourth unit titled Braving the Hazards. You see, we have many problems, hazards and calamities, both natural as well as man-made. So through the first segment of the essay, disasters and disaster management in India, we will be coming across or undergoing various sorts of natural as well as man-made disasters. And this unit mainly equipping ourselves how to brave, very courageously face these disasters and be victorious in our life. How to defeat these kinds of disasters. That is what here we are coming to know about braving the disaster. So I will just first talk about the unit. Disasters, both natural and man-made, have become very disastrous. And the unit mainly talking about disasters, both natural and man-made, have become very common today. Whatever the form, thousands die each year due to disasters. They also cause widespread destruction and damage. It is the need of the hour to be informed and equipped to face impending, very fast approaching disasters. The concept of disaster management has gained a great currency across the globe in recent times. Now let us see. The unit entitled Braving the Hazards comprises 3 texts. The first is an essay written by Anchana Majumdar about disaster management in India. And the second text is a short story by A.J. Crow. And the third one is a poem by Benjamin Perkins about the wreck of the ship Titanic. And in addition, moreover, together with these 3 texts, there is also a newspaper report and an excerpt from the essay On Courage by A.G. Gardiner, the essayist. The text and the activities of this unit aim to make the learners aware of different disasters around them, or the country they live in, or the world they live in, and to equip them, make them be ready to act very courageously and with full determination in moments of crisis. So when Oki just lashed on Kerala Of course, the fishermen, they promptly, in the moment of crisis, acted and saved so many precious lives. So the aim of this unit is to make ourselves fully equipped with to act promptly in the moments of crisis. Now we will pass on to the collage. If you have textbook, you can just have that one. Let us begin session. There is a collage. Collage depicting different kinds of calamities or disasters. For example, cyclones, then a forest fire. Like that, so many disasters are described in the collage. Then we will pass on to the first segment, that is the essay. The disasters and disaster management in India. So before starting, we will be just going for, there are 3 difficult words given at the end of this essay by Anjana Majumdar. Anjana Majumdar. So disasters and disaster management in India. So I will read seismic. Seismic is related to the vibration of earth or earthquake. That is seismic sounds. The degrees of seismic sounds there. Then tectonic forces. Tectonic forces is another forces arising out of the movements of earth crust. That is the main. And vulnerable. That is, we are prone to, susceptible to, very easy to catch the disaster. Now we go for read and reflect. Disasters. So disasters of 2 types, both natural and man-made, cause widespread damage and destruction. That is. So it is a high time. Time is over for the humanity that we became aware of and equipped ourselves to face impending, fast approaching disasters. Here is an essay about the disasters and their management in the Indian context. That is all. So I will go for the essay, try to understand that one, very important one. Please better you walk this class with your textbook, it will be more beneficial. And you can face almost all the ideas very bravely, incorporated in the essay by Anjana Majumdar. Disaster is a very common phenomenon. It is a fact. Every now and then, this disaster may happen. For humanity, human beings have experienced these disasters in different forms since the time immemorial. From the very ancient time onwards, human beings have been experiencing various sorts of disasters in different forms since time immemorial. The latest world disaster report suggests that disasters have increased both in frequency and intensity. That means very depth kind of deep sort of disasters and making more damage, and also disasters ravaged and making so many losses. So the first question by the side of the textbook, what does the recent world disaster report say about the disasters? Our report suggests that disasters have increased both in frequency and intensity. That is the answer for that question. The answer and question is correlated there itself in the left side and right side. So learners, try to imbibe the spirit of this essay. The second paragraph of this essay. People are becoming more and more vulnerable to disasters of all types. Vulnerable, they are more prone to very easily disasters will strike these human beings. They are very direct to the disasters. That is a vulnerable meaning is susceptible, more prone to, easily acceptable to. So people are becoming more and more vulnerable to disasters of all types, which include, let us see what are the types of the disasters describing in that paragraph. Earthquake, shaking, trembling, tremor, floods, lands are going under the water, cyclones. So we have come across another cyclone now itself also. Landslides. Landslides means land from one part going. Landslides. So part of the land is sliding from the main part. Taute cyclones. Now we are undergoing. So landslides, droughts. Droughts means without water, without rain, complete all the land is dried up. Accidents, plane crashes, forest fires. In the collage we have seen forest fires, etc. So this is quite true, completely true fact that in the case of both the developed and developing countries, we have so three types of countries means underdeveloping, developing and developed. So in the case of disasters, both the developed and developing countries, the floods in the UK, United Kingdom and France, and the heat waves in Europe, other tragedies, calamities, particularly one in France in 2003, claimed lots of life. Death toll was very high. In the last few years, America has also faced devastating disasters in the form of tornadoes, hurricanes, and cyclones. All these are natural disasters. So tornadoes, hurricanes, and cyclones, they caused great loss of lives and prosperity. What is the result of these kinds of disasters like tornadoes, hurricanes, and cyclones? So they caused a great loss of lives. People were dead in great number and property were destroyed. Even though the progress in technology is helping human beings to reduce the impact of disasters, it is still inadequate. You see, we are living in a very highly developed technology and more technological assistance is there to reduce the impact of the disasters or the damage. But still, this is inadequate, not sufficient. Then I am going for the next paragraph. There is a direct correlation. So there is a direct correlation between higher human development and better preparedness to manage disasters. You see, higher human development and better preparedness to manage disaster. People should be highly developed. And human development with the technological assistance and better preparedness to manage. We cannot avoid disasters, but we can have a better preparation to manage disasters. So there is a correlation between this. The countries which have a lower human development are more vulnerable. So you see, underdeveloped or developing, they are more susceptible or vulnerable to the risk of disasters and damage, where so many lives are claimed and properties are very greatly damaged. Of all the disasters, you see, we have various sorts of disasters. Floods are the most common. Okay, so there is another question, which is what is the relationship between human development and disaster preparedness? That is, answer is just equal to that paragraph. There is a direct correlation between higher human development and better preparedness to manage disasters. That is all. Of all the disasters, floods are the most common, followed by windstorms, droughts, earthquakes. You see, floods is the most common of all the, and followed by these floods are caused by windstorms, droughts, and earthquakes. However, drought is the deadliest. Floods are the most common, and drought is the deadliest, accounting for 48% of deaths due to natural disasters. Of all the continents, Asia has the highest number of death toll from disasters. India, China, and Bangladesh are situated in the Asian continent. Now, India, due to its geographical location and geological formation, is highly prone to disaster. Why India? What makes India more vulnerable to disasters? The answer is there. India, due to its geographical location and geological formation is highly prone to disasters. And in addition to, moreover, its long coastline, snow-clad peaks, and high mountain ranges, and the perennial rivers in the north combine to. So these are the facts which lead India more vulnerable to. Add to this problem, India, which has only 2% of the total geographical area. You see, that is a speciality of India, which has only 2% of the total geographical area, has to support 80% of the total population of the world. Therefore, there is a tremendous, very huge pressure on the natural resources, which directly or indirectly leads to the occurrence of disasters, namely floods, droughts, landslides, earthquakes. So what causes the tremendous pressure? What causes the tremendous pressure on the resources in India? Answer is there. So we will go to the next paragraph, the northern region of India. So let us see geographical location-wise India's conservation, especially in the case of a disaster. The northern region of India faces problems due to the landslides. So what are the disasters which make in northern regions of India? Landslides, floods, droughts, and earthquakes, because this region falls under the seismic zone 3 to 5. Seismic is the meaning related to the vibration of the earth or earthquake. The region falls under the seismic zone 3 to 5. Then think about the eastern, that is the case of the northern region. The eastern region is confronted with the heavy floods in the perennial rivers, which include the Brahmaputra, the Ganga, etc. Ganges. Now we have come across in the newspapers that dead bodies, corpses are floating in the waters of Ganges. Drought, heat waves, hailstorms, cyclones, heavy winds, and earthquakes are also common in this region. These are the other various types of calamities which strike this eastern region. The northeastern region encounters, let us see, the northeastern region encounters floods, landslides, and earthquakes. That is a very important thing. This region comes under the seismic zone 4 and 5. Look at how they are very close to or in proximity with the shaking of the earth. 4 and 5. The western region. So, northern region, Eastern region, northeastern region. Now we pass on to the western region, is widely known for severe droughts. Very droughts this western region is faced to. Wind erosion of land, sea erosion and wind erosion of land and soil. Floods and cyclones, these are the various sorts of calamities. This winter, this area is also prone to earthquakes. Western region. The southern region, particularly the coastal region, southern region is very close to the ocean, sea. The southern region, particularly the coastal region, is vulnerable to cyclones, sea erosion, tsunami, and landslides. We have come across these kinds of, especially we are living in the coastal regions, southern regions. The islands of Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep are confronted, faced with the problems of sea erosion and tsunami. The Indian coastal areas have faced some of the severest cyclones both along the eastern and western coast. This is very deliberately highlighting the facts, the truth that we have undergone during the last years. Among all the disasters in India, the tsunami is a relatively new phenomenon. Of course, tsunami is not often occurred, but relatively new fact or truth that ravaged the land. Due to the lack of an adequate warning system, surely if disasters are going to be in the meteorological department, we have to has to warn the people of the impending disasters. So due to the lack of an adequate sufficient warning system, the tsunami of 2004 devastated a large portion of the coastal regions of Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Andhra Pradesh, besides the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. All these lands were devastated by this tsunami in 2004. It claimed a large number of lives. Death toll was very high and destroyed property worth crores of rupees. Man-made properties and their accumulations of treasures. India has faced a number of disasters ranging from natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, cyclones, tsunami, drought, landslides to man-made disasters like the Bhopal gas tragedy, Madhya Pradesh Union Carbide companies, toxic gas leaking, and by the time so many people were affected by it. During this century, India has witnessed some major disasters, which include the Gujarat earthquake in 2001, the Mumbai Gujarat floods in 2005. Very factual thing happened, published in the print media. The tsunami in 2004, the Uttarakhand flash floods and the hurricane Fayali in coastal Odisha and Andhra Pradesh in 2013. So these are the disasters we have come across. The direct and indirect impacts of disasters. So disasters have direct and indirect impacts, and these disasters can be either natural or industrial. Are always damage, destruction and deaths. So they are making a destruction and causing death. When disaster strikes, the lifeline support systems, namely communication. You see, when disaster occurred, let us see what are the different service sectors that are affected. Life support system, lifeline support systems, namely communication. We cannot have any kind of communication. Power supply disrupted, water supply disrupted, drainage system is completely out of order, in chaos, etc. damaged. Moreover, health care and hospitals are also put under severe stress. Commercial and economic activities are also badly affected. Life almost comes to a standstill, everything in a paralyzed, not more stagnated state. The psychological trauma, the psychological problems caused by the disasters are sometimes so severe, very severe, that they span the whole life of the victim, sometimes till the death of the victims it may fall. Therefore, along with other rehabilitation works, psychological rehabilitation should also be given due importance. You see, when a disaster occurs, so we will start physical rehabilitation. People will be shifted to a safe areas. Like that, psychological rehabilitation, counseling, avoiding the fear from the minds of the people, and also better assistance, mental assistance. That is, psychological rehabilitation should also be given due importance together with the physical rehabilitation of the victims. The impact, the effect is almost the same. Even in the case of man-made disasters like riots. Riots means people having clash among themselves. One set of people having riot with another set of people. So this will also cause many psychological impacts. The most affected are the poor section of this society. Even in the case of both natural as well as man-made disasters, the most affected sections are the poor sections of the society, who have to work daily to earn their livelihood. Daily wage workers, every day going for work, at the end of the day getting their remuneration or their pay and coming back. So such a section of people is affected vulnerably in the case of disasters. In some natural disasters like cyclone, tsunami and earthquake, it is the building structure. You see, in the case of these kind of disasters like cyclone, tsunami and earthquake, the building structure which becomes the cause of destruction and death. The people living in this kind of edifice or construction, by the destruction of such structure, building structure, death is caused. In developing countries, think about not developed, not underdeveloped, the medium section, that is developing countries. India is still also a developing country. Only 30% of the buildings are constructed in accordance with the regulations laid down for ensuring safety and security. You see, developing countries, only 30% are mainly obeying the regulations laid down for ensuring safety and security. They do not follow the regulations laid down for ensuring safety. 70% do not obey such regulations. So the building should be constructed in accordance with the regulations laid down for ensuring safety and security. But in the developing countries, out of 130% are only obeying the rules and 70% do not follow the regulations. As a result, more destruction and death are caused. Similarly, the lack of a master plan while constructing something. We must have a master plan. But in the case of 70% of construction works, no proper scientific master plan. And the materials used for constructing, that is the inferior, not superior, not high quality, low quality, inferior quality of materials used for construction also aggravate. Aggravate means increase the casualties, death, or tragedies arising out of disasters. So construction, that should be just following the regulations or rules laid down for safety measures. Casualties arising out of disaster. Therefore, both the private and the public buildings should be constructed. You see, very good suggestion is given. Both the private and public buildings should be constructed according to the guidelines or the norms or rules prescribed by law. We must obey the laws, safety measures and rules. Moreover, construction should strictly adhere to the master plan, should obey to the master plan approved by the authorities. Above all, good quality materials, not substandard or inferior quality materials shouldn't be used. Good quality, superior quality materials should be used for construction. Now, UNDAC, that means United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination. United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination, that is UNDAC. It is given at the end of your textbook. Along with the government of India, UNDAC, United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination, along with the government of India, has jointly prepared an action plan for cities and towns very vulnerable, susceptible or prone to earthquakes. That is also, we must have these kinds of obeying the norms, obeying the rules done by both United Nations Disaster Assessment. Page of the essay, the last page of the essay, there we are coming. Yes, we have come across the last page of the essay. That we have come across with this one. Vulnerable areas. The vulnerable areas, the existing buildings should be technically assessed and individual, technically assessed, buildings should be technically assessed, and individual owners and group housing authorities should be informed about the weaknesses in their construction. Presently, it is estimated that around 1 million buildings are constructed every year in India, and an equal number of them gets damaged as a result of disasters. In order to reduce the damage to buildings, a monitoring mechanism should be set up in disaster-prone areas, which must act in proper coordination with the concerned authorities to ensure the fulfillment of building codes. That is all. You see here, we are coming to know about what is this actually talking about is we should obey the law or the norms according to UNDAC and the state government, and also we must adhere to, obey the norms put forward by state government and international authority. Otherwise, what happens is the number of the buildings we construct without obeying the rules, the same number of the buildings will be completely destroyed. That is what it is happening. In the case of disaster management, the state governments play a major role, with the central government only plays a facilitating role. At the state level, there is a state level disaster management committee consisting of the senior secretaries of various departments and the representatives of NGOs, non-governmental organizations. At the national level, there is a crisis management committee headed by the cabinet secretary and the secretaries from the major departments of the government. The central government, with the proper coordination with the various ministries, provides necessary support to the states, which includes defense services like air trapping, rescuing, searching, transport of relief goods, etc., and availability of rail and ferry services, health persons, and medical support. That is a very important thing. You see here state level coordination and central government level coordination, and using many types of opportunities providing for life-saving and just reducing the damage aggravation. That is what here we come to know. Just to read this one. Then, rehabilitation is an integral part of disaster management. Since disasters are non-routine events, they require non-routine responses for effective management and rehabilitation. This means that the government cannot depend on normal procedures to implement appropriate responses. There should be proper coordination among the various departments of the government to bring speedy relief to the victims. Moreover, the rescue teams require the learning of special skills and attitudes in dealing with the disasters. Additionally, moreover, they need to be equipped with the latest technologies. So listen here, we have to cooperate with the different departments, state-wise, central government-wise, and nationwide level. Then only there we can just diminish the gravity of the disasters, just lavish or ravage it upon our society or our world or our country. That is what. The last paragraph, disaster management has assumed greater importance because nowadays more often we come across with various sorts of man-made as well as natural disasters. So disaster management, how to manage these disasters by people, has assumed great. That is a very important thing in recent times. The whole purpose of disaster management is not to prevent these natural or man-made disasters, not to prevent. So we cannot prevent this one. It will naturally happen. So man-made we can to some extent avoid. We may not be able to avert many of these disasters. We cannot avoid this one. So we must able to face and brave these disasters. But we can definitely reduce, mitigate these disasters' impact. We can reduce or diminish the effect of these disasters. That is what here we come to know. So this is an essay given to us for thinking and to equip all the human beings of the world to prepare themselves to promptly face these hazards and to mitigate, to reduce the effect of the impact and to save so many precious lives. Not to give human beings to be the victims of death. So we have come across the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic is surging very rapidly in our society. And what happens is death toll goes up. Especially our Trivandrum district has also become more vulnerable to the COVID-19 second wave surge. So we must be to our extent, equip ourselves, be brain wonder, obey to all the rules and norms laid by the authorities. And our construction work should be in accordance with the law laid by the authorities. And superior kind of materials should be used for building constructions, which will mitigate or reduce the impact of disasters, especially natural disaster. We have come across various sorts of disasters and geographical features of different regions of continents, Asian continents, and also the effect of various disasters, man-made as well as natural, and the effect on the humanity. Everything is very neatly. And read the essay at least 5 times and face the questions given by the side of the essay. And we will meet again with the important textual activities, read and reflect the question answers, and read and respond, think and reflect, read and respond to question answers. And we will be meeting with another live section with Sarang of Rana Ganji, the story. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.